All right, guys, Kenny Smith, Total Force Holdings. All right, we've talked about quite a few things involving radios, right? So now we're going to discuss those antennas in line of sight we talked about. How do you maximize that? Well, why do you want a bigger antenna? All right, well, why do I want that bigger antenna? Is because this puts it up higher. So if I'm in like a major urban area, I want to get as high as I can, like before that comm window, like that comm window we talked about earlier today. Or yesterday, I don't know. The comm window video that we did. All right, you don't necessarily just use that. That gives you time to move from wherever up to higher ground, so you've got a longer line of sight. Like you look at your blister pack two-way radios, your quote unquote walkie-talkies, your FRS and some of the FRS, GMRS stuff that are out there. Those get these massive ranges, but when you get them out in the field, they only work like a mile and a half. That's because that long range is like mountaintop to mountaintop, where there's nothing in the middle and they're seeing over the top of all the trees and everything else. Another thing that can affect that is the frequency you're transmitting on. The lower the frequency, the better it penetrates through barriers. I'm not even going to go there. UHF, which is what your FRS and GMRS radios tend to transmit on, they don't do so well around concrete. VHF, which is like your MERS, your 2 meter bands, I think it's 2 meter, your MERS and stuff like that, your roughly 150 megahertz, that travels a little bit better through there. Now, this is a balancing act because the higher the frequency, right, the clearer the transmission. The lower the frequency, the more jacked up it is, but the further it'll carry. So your frequency and your antenna play a big role with each other. But more important than that is you have to get that line of sight, so you need to go to higher ground. That can mean something as simple as popping on a longer antenna. That could mean rigging up a jungle antenna. If you know how to do that, you know how to do that. If not, well, you probably don't need to try to learn it on the fly, and I'm probably not the guy to teach you. Can I do it? Yes. Do I have any business teaching anybody else? Hell no. So how do you fix that? Well, maybe you get up on the roof, right? There are all kinds of ways you could do this. You could take an antenna like this and use connectors and run wire to it and get it up higher. There's a bunch of ways to do stuff like that. But if you're going to use your radio, you need to get to a higher line of sight. If you're in a valley or whatever and you intend to use your cell phone, you got to get to higher ground so it can actually catch the repeater on the tower. All right, same exact concept here. Remember, your cell phone is just a small handheld radio. So everything I'm saying about radios applies to your phone just as well. Those of us who are old as dirt like me, remember when if you have bad signal on your cell phone, you pulled the antenna up. I miss my little Nokia brick. And I had a Kyocera slider too that had the antenna on it. Those things were awesome. But yeah, you can't do that with the newer stuff. That's why their cell phones, their signal ain't as great as they used to be. But higher antenna, whether that be built in and you can't adjust it like this one or my phone, or a longer antenna, the higher up you get, the further you can see.